Lord in heaven.
What?
Oh, goodness gracious. Oh, I just can't believe it.
What? Dolly Levi, you are a damned exasperating woman.
Why, Horace Vandergelder, that is the nicest thing you have ever said to me.
Well, hello, darling, well, hello, darling. It's so nice to have you back where you belong.
Now, the most phenomenally successful stage triumph of all time is 100 times more exciting on the screen. In size, in story, in scope, in splendor, in stars. With the most fabulous personality of them all, the one and only Barbara Streisand as Dolly.
All aboard, all aboard, all aboard.
Put on your Sunday clothes, there's lots of world out there.
I have an important announcement to make. After an absence of several years, there will return to the Harmonia Gardens restaurant here tonight the lady who always had the happiest smile, the warmest heart, and the largest appetite in the city of New York. Dolly!
And on those cold winter nights, Horace, you can snuggle up to your cash register. It's a little lumpy, but it rings.
Just leave everything to Dolly, that delightful matchmaker who mixes into everybody's lives. From runaway lovers planning an elopement, to flirtatious young ladies seeking excitement, to arranging a romantic whirlwind of her own. With joy for everyone in her path.
If we climb in, I'm feeling an updraft in my underpants.
Yes, Dolly is delightful. Dolly is scheming.
You're wasting your time, Dolly Levi. I have no intention of asking you to marry me.
Oh, I suppose that means you want me to ask you. Well, I'm sorry, Horace, I'm turning you down.
How can you turn me down when I haven't even asked you anything?
It's no use arguing. I've made up your mind.
I never touched a woman before.
You still haven't. That's my corset. When I think of the lucky women who'll find heaven in your arms, I think we'll go back to lesson 1, shall we? 1, 2, 3. Look! I'm dancing!
Police!
When the whistles blow and the cymbals crash and the sparklers light the sky, I'm gonna raise the roof, I'm gonna carry on. Give me an old trombone, give me an old baton.
Well, hello,
Look who's here.
Dolly. This is Louis.
Hello, Louis.
Dolly, it's so nice to have you back where you belong.
I am so glad to be back. Dolly, you'll never go away. Dolly, you'll never go away. Dolly, you'll never go away again.
Hi, this is Sam.
This is Becca.
And we got out a wheel for this one. The wheeldecide.com, WHEEL decide.com.
That's a big time saver.
Yeah, because we just put in, I picked 2 movies and Becca picked 2 movies. I picked Tomb of Ligeia and The Howling.
I picked 8mm and Hello Dolly. 2 completely opposite of us on the spectrum.
And whatever movie came up 3 times on the wheel, Hello Dolly pretty much universally just decimated the competition.
They really wanted us to watch that.
So Hello Dolly is what we're watching. It's from 1969.
Wonderful.
I've never seen it.
Great.
It stars
Walter Matthau.
Walter Matthau.
Barbara Streisand.
Yes.
I don't know any.
Michael Crawford,
Yeah.
who is Condor Man.
In what?
The movie Condor Man.
I don't know that.
It's a Disney movie. It's a comic book artist who they convinced to become his creation.
Yeah.
And then after that, he was in a little play.
What was it?
Phantom of the Opera.
Oh.
He's the Phantom.
He must be the taller, skinny one.
Yeah. Marion McAndrew, E.G. Picard, and Louis Armstrong. It's directed by Gene Kelly. Did you know that? From, you know where Gene Kelly was born?
Here.
Yes, he was born in Pittsburgh.
Wasn't he Meadville or was he here?
I believe it's he was Pittsburgh, PA. He was born in East Liberty.
Oh, wow.
Yep. He is an Irish, mother was an Irish immigrant. He's Irish Canadian. Yep.
Neat.
Yep. He grew up in the Morningside neighborhood of Pittsburgh.
Oh.
His childhood dream was to play the shortstop for the Pirates.
Pirates?
Yep.
Oh.
It's adapted and produced by Ernest Lehman.
Mm-hmm.
The song "Hello Dolly" was a #1 single in May '64.
Mm-hmm.
Funny Girl had not yet been released, so this is her first theatrical film production in the leading role. You know, there's a big rumor back in the day that Barbara Streisand had done porn before she did movies.
Did anyone ever prove this?
There's a loop. They didn't put out videotapes back in the day.
Yeah.
They would do like 8mm loops. That's where 8mm gets its name from. And put them into theaters. And there was one that kind of like her, had the same nose, but it's hard to tell. Those loops were so grainy and shot so poorly. Anyway,
you have to do what you have to do.
You do. Back then it would ruin your career. Today it launches it.
Yeah.
This is 20th Century Fox is trying to recreate their previous hit, The Sound of Music, which has saved them from bankruptcy. After Cleopatra had failed, it had taken so much money. Cleopatra cost so much money. This movie had a huge budget, $25 million, which today would be about $164 million. It's the last great Hollywood musical, and this is a musical that actually killed off musicals because it did well, but not as well as they thought it was going to do. But now it's considered one of the best ever, and it won 3 of 7 nominated Oscars: Best Art Direction, for set decoration, Best Music, Score of a Motion Picture, and Best Sound. So, Tommy Toon's in it, who was in, he's been in a ton of Broadway stuff. Louis Armstrong is the orchestra leader. It was shot in Garrison, New York.
Yonkers, that's what they...
Yes. It has a 44% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Out of what?
Out of 100.
Oh, that's stupid.
This won a lot of British film awards. It won Best Actor for Walter Matthau nomination, a nomination for Barbara Streisand. It was nominated for Golden Globe for Best Motion Picture, Best Director for Gene Kelly. Everybody was nominated for stuff. Outstanding Directorial Achievement to Gene Kelly for the Directors Guild Awards. It's in the AFI's 100 Years, 100 Songs and the AFI's Greatest Musical Moments. And then 2 of the songs from it, It Only Takes a Moment, and Put On Your Sunday Clothes, of course, are in Wall-E.
Yes.
As you know. And you can hear the songs Elegance and Put On Your Sunday Clothes in the Main Street section of the Magic Kingdom in Walt Disney World.
I believe I have heard it there.
Yeah. Want to hear some trivia?
Yes.
There's one thing. I love IMDb goofs. The assholes that go on IMDb and just say, wrong.
Yeah. What's wrong about it?
They're my favorite people. There's one here that's pretty funny. I'll read it to you. Yeah. Let's see. The Budweiser's Clydesdale and Beer Wagon appear in the 14th Street Parade. However, this movie is set in 1890, and the Clydesdales did not make their first appearance until 1933.
I told you, there's people that sit around and just be grumpy, and that's wrong.
That's
wrong.
During the opening credits, as Walter Matthau's name appears, you can see several modern automobiles next to the train tracks.
We'll look for them.
Yeah. Modern electrical power transformers are visible in the utility poles and all the Yonkers scenes.
Yeah.
There's a Beckons moving van.
Yeah.
And Beckons did not start doing moving until 1891. I love these people.
How many years apart was that?
One
2 years?
1 year, yeah. During the parade, all the flags are shown as having 50 stars.
That had not yet happened.
Yep, Hawaii wasn't Hawaii and Alaska weren't made states until 1959. Yep.
What was Alaska before then? Just part of Canada.
It was a U.S. territory, I think, kind of like how Puerto Rico is. Yeah. This is a dumb one. In the part during It Only Takes a Moment, the group of bystanders starts to sing. There are only 9 people, and 3 of them are women. Yet the chorus is clearly bigger in all female voices. Louis Armstrong's obviously lip-syncing in one scene. After sitting down for dinner at Harmonia Gardens, Dolly takes a napkin off her plate twice. When Horace is being shaved, the barber...
Who sits here and watches it that
Listen
closely?
to this one. When Horace is being shaved, the barber shaves one side of his face twice, removing all the lather twice. It's because they were doing match cuts and stuff like that.
I don't want to know any of these people. They would ruin a movie.
I know. Errors in geography. Yonkers is north of New York City, and both are on the east side of the Hudson River. But in some of the aerial scenes of the train from New York to Yonkers, the river is on the train's right side. They use a southbound instead of a northbound train.
None of these things have crossed my mind anytime I've ever watched this.
All the food and drinks on the waiters' trays are obviously glued on.
They are, because they're dancing with them upside down.
Like, what did you expect them to do?
No.
Now let's talk about trivia then. The original design of Babs' gold-beaded gown, shown in the scene, weighed 40 pounds and cost $8,000.
I can believe it. It looks heavy. Can you see it?
Yep. Twice during rehearsal, she tripped over a 2.5-foot train,
Yeah.
as did other dancers. So they just only used the train when she goes down the steps, but it later disappears. During filming, Barbara Streisand and Walter Matthau hated each other so intensely, he refused to be around her except when required to do so by the script.
Why did they hate each other?
I don't know. He was famously quoted as telling Barbara that she had no more talent than a butterfly's fart.
Oh.
Interesting, in her One Voice concert at her Malibu ranch, he is there, and he paid, the invitation-only guest paid $5,000 a couple to help establish her Streisand foundation. Obviously, Walter Matthau does not hold a grudge. Leading UK DVD reseller, HMV, noted this film had sold it had noted that Hello Dolly had sold more copies than in any period in its previous 10 years. A lot of people think that's because of Wall-E, which features clips, and people saw it.
Well, this, to me, when you watch this movie, it's very much like a kid's movie. It's where some of the other musicals I've watched had more adult themes, but this, just because the 2 guys in it are so silly, it, to me, is a kid's movie, almost.
In the Harmonia Gardens, the back wall behind the Hat Check Girl is the wall of the ballroom from the Von Trapp's villa. They recycled the set. This one, I don't believe this one.
Yeah.
So on a break from filming, Walter Matthau and Michael Crawford visited horse races and saw a horse named Hello Dolly. Matthau hated Barbara Streisand so much, and the horse reminded her of him, that he refused to place a bet. Crawford placed a bet and won. Matthau would not speak to Crawford for the rest of the shoot. So, this was one of the very first film released on home video in the U.S. The Magnetic Video Corporation licensed it, because back then, Fox didn't want to put out tapes, so they licensed 50 original films from Fox, and it's catalog number CL1001. Gene Kelly fought to keep Michael Crawford's singing voice. The producers wanted to dub him out. Interesting, huh? Let's see. The train car shown in the final shot of Put On Your Sunday Clothes is from the Strasburg Railroad. It's an active steam museum line that's still in existence. And at any point, if you want to, you can ride on the Hello Dolly car, and it's decorated like the show.
Can you take me there?
Yeah. The facade of Harmonia Gardens still stands as of 2010 on the 20th Century Fox lot, though the park across the street is gone. This is Louis Armstrong's last movie. The set filled an entire soundstage and 3 levels. It took an entire month to shoot just the Harmonia Gardens. Right, Ange? They did 3 giant musicals over a period of 3 years. This movie, Dr. Dolittle, and Star. Film attendance as a whole was down. So several top executives lost their job. And in truth, Fox would never recoup its losses until they did a highly successful theatrical reissue The Sound of Music in 1973. The large fountain in Harmonia Gardens is in the Towering Inferno. It's in the restaurant at the top. It is knocked over by the water, and it kills the bartender. Danny Laughlin, who plays Barnaby, played the same role in New York in this. Also considered for Dolly, Elizabeth Taylor, who passed because she couldn't sing.
Barbara.
Doris Day and Charlie MacLaine, who played Irene Molloy in the non-musical version, The Matchmaker, which is the same movie. Carol Channing was never considered for the role. That she could not carry a film, even though she had won an Oscar nomination for Thoroughly Modern Millie. I know that's one of your
You know that one.
And Julie Andrews also turned.
She was the crazy blonde lady, remember? Whose house they went to.
Oh, I remember. And Margaret also screen tested for this. The ornate glass windows in the gardens were also used in the Poseidon Adventure.
That makes sense.
And then they also used the Egyptian hieroglyphs from Cleopatra to complete the Poseidon dining room. Even though the ship is a Greek ship. So that's pretty interesting. Film debut of Tommy Tune. 20th Century Fox had to agree to David Merrick's stipulation that this film could not be released while the Broadway play was still running. As the show was nearing its 4th year on stage, it was assumed it would be closed by the time the ready was released. However, Merrick then replaced his actors with an all-black cast led by Pearl Bailey, in a claim move which reinvigorated theater box office. As a result, the finished version of Hello Dolly spent a year gathering dust, and only got released after Fox had to come with a lavish financial agreement with Merrick, so he would waive a stipulation. This added to the film's huge cost and made it an even bigger flop. The stage show, but it's a good thing they did it.
Yeah.
Because the stage show ran for 7 more years. So the movie would have never came out. Fox also reused several of the sets in this movie for Beneath the Planet of the Apes. I always think that's neat to see that, because now in green screen world, you know, that you'd never see that. Walter Matthau earned $500,000 for this movie. It's a lot of money.
Back then.
Also, Joanne Worley auditioned for this movie. Call Out to Murder, She Wrote.
Yes.
Yes. And Peg Murray also did. So I'm going to like this movie.
Yes.
There are alternate versions of this movie. What are they? There are 2 alternate takes. I've never seen this movie before.
It's wonderful.
It's been made several times as On the Razzle, a TV movie.
On the Razzle.
The Matchmaker was a TV movie, and then they brought it back out. And it's been referenced in a lot of things.
It's wonderful.
Yeah. So I guess let's get ready to watch. We've never done a musical, have we?
No, because you watched Thoroughly Modern Millie, but we didn't record it.
Yeah. So this will be the first.
BNS about musicals.
BNS about musicals. It's spoofed in the movie Bride of Chucky.
Is it?
And Moulin Rouge. Why don't we own that movie?
My mom owns that movie.
Oh. Well, Becca's going in to make some flatbreads that we can enjoy during this musical production. I think what you should do is, if you have a copy of this, you should watch Hello Dolly right now. If you don't have a copy of it, maybe just listen to a couple of the songs on Spotify. I won't tell Becca. And then come back and be like, oh yeah, the music's great. Okay, anyway, we're going to watch Hello Dolly. You should too.
Ah, hello there. Give the demonstration of my new invention, the Goodies Machine. Special for patrons of this drive-in, the machine turns out delicious hot doggies one after the other. And thirst-quenching sodas also. Gives popcorn of the most tasty kind, plain unbuttered. Candy too, crunchy and dandy. Steaming hot coffee and ice cream too. These goodies are at a snack bar just waiting for you.
Hello. Welcome back to another episode episode of BNS About Movies. Just finished watching Dolly. I don't know how much of the original recording from the beginning we got, but regardless, I'm surrounded by cats and a dog, and it's quite a manly night here at the Hanukkah house as we finish watching Hello, Dolly. What did you think of it? You've seen this how many times?
A bunch.
How many?
Probably 50.
50 times?
Yeah.
Yeah. How did you first get into this movie?
My mom.
Your mom loves this movie? What would you rate this movie?
An A.
I would give it a B minus.
Yeah.
A B. I give it a B. Mm-hmm. It's weird. So here's my weird thing about this movie. I really liked it.
See, I told you.
Yeah, it was fun. I usually don't like musicals. I wouldn't pick this movie to watch.
Mm-hmm.
That said,
You're glad you saw it.
where did we get this? We get this half price Brooks
Oh
Pie.
no, I owned it.
Oh, you owned it for a while.
Mm-hmm.
I
brought it into this house.
I think it's weird when this movie came out, because this movie came out in '69.
Mm-hmm.
The same time this movie came out, like Easy Rider came out, and Beyond the Valley of the Dolls, and Night of the Living Dead. Like, it's very anachronistic, where this movie feels like it's from the 40s or 50s.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't really feel like it's a movie of the late 60s.
Yeah.
So I can see why people probably, it didn't do as well as it was supposed to. That said, it doesn't make it a bad movie. It just feels like it was way out of time when it came out. I think if it had came out like 10 years sooner, it probably would have been a bigger movie. That said, I mean, it's a good movie, though.
Very good.
Yeah. I like the second half is better than the first half.
Yeah.
I know you need to set up the story in the first half,
Mm-hmm.
but the second half has some bigger numbers. The waiters all dancing is pretty amazing.
Mm-hmm. He said it was like a cartoon.
It was like a cartoon the way the guys walked. Like, and there were some pretty intricate. The other thing I noticed about this movie was, like, whereas in most movies, like, the dancing happens on like really flat surfaces, they kind of went out of their way to do moves on like going down hills and down steps, and
They were like gymnasts.
yeah, I mean, there's some pretty intricate stuff that happened in the different scenes in this. We had the cats out. Our cat, we have a large orange cat named Anderson Cooper, who is unable to behave himself, and he's being removed from the premises as we speak. Becca's removing him. I'm surrounded by Angel the dog, who's a frequent podcast guest, and Norris the cat, who perhaps you've heard us talk about him.
Norris is the only one out right now.
Norris is the only one that's behaving. He is old, and he just wants to sit. He wants to sit either on the couch or on my lap.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, look, there's a musical on. If everybody could please behave, I'd like to watch the end of it, of Hello, Dolly.
It's like a grandpa thing to do.
He is 14.
Mm-hmm.
14?
I don't know.
Yeah, I think he's between 13 and 15. Probably 14.
Hmm.
But he's a very wizened man. He looks like a forest, like an owl, forest creature. He's a Nibelung, is what kind of cat he is.
Yes.
So he's very stately.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I really liked it. I thought it was good. I liked the musical numbers. What I did like about it was, if you notice, like a lot, like
Did or didn't?
I did.
Yeah.
What's the other musical we watched?
Thoroughly Modern Millie.
Yeah, and if you notice the way they shot Thoroughly Modern Millie, it just felt like they filmed the stage version.
Yeah.
There wasn't a lot of camera movement and stuff.
Yeah.
And I will say, Gene Kelly was actually a really good director, because he did a lot of really cool, like, camera works. Like when they were following the train leaving, like, there was some really good work there. He actually told a really good story. I thought just because he was a dance guy, I knew the dance numbers were going to look great. Mm-hmm. Like Busby Berkeley was the same way. Like, you could put together these really good dance scenes.
Yeah.
But then you're like, well, will the story scenes be as good? And I think he did a really good job of. I was actually waiting to get back to the story scenes versus waiting for the next dance scene. So I think that's kind of a hallmark. A good point of the story. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I really liked it.
I told you would.
Yeah. Now, would it be the movie I would pick to watch? No.
Thank you, Spinner.
The spinner wheel picked it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's good. Mm-hmm. The only other musical movies I've seen are South Park.
South Pacific?
South Park. The movie is a big musical.
It's like cartoon.
But it's a musical.
Oh.
Team America. is also a musical.
Oh, God.
It's one of my favorite
Don't tell
movies.
Devin these.
Actually, Matt and Trey at the South Park they won a bunch of Tonys for.
I know, but even Book of Mormon is way better than the South Park.
Have you ever seen the South Park movie?
I refuse.
It was
I
up
bought
for
it for you.
but it was up for an Oscar for best songs.
God.
It's seriously a really good movie. I'm not just because I love South Park.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's probably the hardest I've ever laughed in the theater. 'Cause there's one scene where both armies are getting ready to fight, and it came out like a week after this first Star Wars prequel. And in the Star Wars prequel, when everybody's getting ready to fight, Jar Jar Binks says that horrible line, like, "You think people's going to die?" And so the American army, because they didn't have they didn't want any of their kids to fight, they got all the black people to fight the Canadians.
Yeah.
And all the black people were on the front lines, and Chef's getting ready for them to fight. And this one black kid was just like Jar Jar Binks. He goes, "Chef, you used to think people's going to die?" And it was like, how did they get that in the movie so fast? You know what I mean? Because, like, it was literally like 4 or 5 days after Star Wars.
That's crazy.
And everybody started laughing so hard. Adam fell out of his seat. He was laughing so hard and almost fell down the steps. We were at the North Versailles where we go, when it used to be the
Stadium 18.
Yeah, Stadium 18. But that's one of my favorite movies I've ever seen in a theater. You couldn't hear some of the lines in the movie because people were laughing so hard. It was like, it's a great, I've seen it a million times. And I've seen, I guess Phantom of Paradise is a musical.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen Rent. I've seen Rocky Horror, that's a musical. I guess I've seen more musicals than I thought.
Than you thought. And knew that you liked
I guess
them.
Grease, which I don't like.
I like Grease. I've seen it so many times I have to take
and
a break from watching it.
I also lied earlier in this episode.
What?
This is the second musical we've watched on this show.
What other one did we do?
The Apple.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
How can you forget? There's no other movie like it.
Mm-hmm.
I've also seen Can't Stop the Music, the Village People movie. It used to be on HBO all the time when I was a kid.
I've never seen that.
It is really, really weird. It's one of the strangest movies you'll ever see.
I don't know about that. We've watched some crazy ones.
It's Apple level crazy. It doesn't have as much camel toe.
Yeah.
And no one's wearing BIM marks. But it's pretty close too. Man, where to next? Maybe just all musical month.
Yeah.
Yeah.
September's for dancing.
September's for dancing and on BNS about movies. Anything else you'd like to bring up that you liked about this? I thought Barbara Streisand did really well. Her teeth look a little weird in a few of the scenes.
She's got kind of horse teeth.
Yeah. She's got a great voice.
Yeah.
She was like, it's weird because like she had this early 60s fame and then she did A Star is Born with Chris Christopherson. And I remember when I was a kid, I always see pictures of them kissing because that's like on the soundtrack of it, the soundtrack cover. And that movie was like all over, like everybody loved that movie. I remember when I was a kid. And then she did Yentl.
She was in the love affair with Robert Downey Jr., Robert Redford, The Way We Were.
The Way We Were, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And she sang You Don't Bring Me Flowers is from that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a big song. There's a lot of more Barbara Streisand than I think of, that I remember from being a kid.
That was before my time.
She was very of the 70s.
Yeah, that was the 80s, mid-80s, baby. I don't think she did anything big right then.
She was in Yentl. And she was in that movie where she played a therapist, too. What's it?
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. But she's also like a big concert thing. It's a big deal. In the 90s, she was on Coffee Talk on Saturday Night Live, remember? When Madonna hosted. And she came out and she came out and did her little thing on that.
She was married to Elliot Gould, too. I forget that.
Yeah, she was. And
she's from Brooklyn. She's 74.
Yeah. She's also in one of the first episodes of South Park. At the end of the first season, she was Mecca Streisand. And Robert Smith came and defeated her. Robert Smith from The Cure. And it led to my favorite South Park line. When Monster Robert Smith's walking away like Godzilla at the end of Godzilla.
Yeah.
And Kyle screams up to him. He goes, "Robert Smith!" And he goes, "Yes." He goes, "Disintegration's the best album ever." And he's like, "Thank you."
Hey, where's he going?
Goodbye, Robert Smith. Thank you for your help. Visit us again. Disintegration is the best album ever!
It's one of the weirdest things that ever happened on a show.
She sold more than 145 million albums.
No one's ever going to do that ever again.
She's the best-selling female artist among top-selling artists recognized by the Recording Industry Association of America.
Uh-huh.
And she's won so many awards.
Do you know who her stepson is?
Josh Brolin.
Josh Brolin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She,
And James Brolin, star of The Car.
She was
her
married
husband.
to Elliot Gould from 63 to 71, and they had one kid.
Yeah.
And he appeared as her on-screen son in Prince of Tides.
That's the movie I'm thinking of, Prince of Tides.
Okay, yeah. She,
also, James Brolin was in...
She dated, in 69 and 70, she dated the Canadian Prime Minister, Pierre Trudeau.
Whose son is, Kevin is the Prime Minister now.
Yeah.
Isn't he?
What?
Isn't Kevin Trudeau, isn't he related to another... I don't know nothing about Canada. All I know is I know the Shatners from Canada.
She dated Andre Agassi in the early 90s.
She did date Andre Agassi.
Wasn't he a lot younger than her?
A lot younger.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, it says she's 28 years older than him.
Yeah. That's back when Cher was dating real young guys, too.
Mm-hmm.
That was a thing.
Yeah, it says she married James Brolin on July 1st, 1998.
Star of Amityville Horror. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Cutting wood outside.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to make a super cut of him cutting wood and the dude from The Witch cutting wood. Yeah, Justin Trudeau, Pierre Trudeau's son, is the Prime Minister of Canada.
Ah.
So, he, I don't know if he knew Barbra Streisand, though. I mean, that's... What are some other Babs facts?
Let's see. She's won so many awards. I mean, I can't even tell you how many.
Yeah, she's a big...
She's a big Democrat.
I was going to say a big Democrat.
She was a big supporter of Jewish charities and...
She just went to number one this week. She entered the Billboard chart at number one.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty amazing for... she was in The Way We Were.
Mm-hmm.
The Mirror Has Two Faces.
Funny Girl.
Meet the Fockers.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, look at that Hello Dolly, like 60s style looking. The Main Event. She was in that. She was in The Owl and the Pussycat with George Segal.
Yep.
What's Up, Doc?
Mm-hmm.
On a Clear Day You Can See Forever. That movie's all about being reincarnated.
She is the former stepmother-in-law of Diane Lane because I think Diane Lane was married to Josh Brolin.
Oh, that's right, she was.
Mm-hmm.
They had a very tempestuous relationship.
She and Shirley MacLaine celebrate their joint birthday every year together.
Well, she just she has a Twitter account. She just tweeted Seth MacFarlane. She said, "You're a talented singer, and I had fun working with you on my album." Wow, that's crazy. Who knew that she could?
Tells you the time she was born.
Oh.
She has the second most gold album certifications behind Elvis Presley. And she's the third most top 40 albums. Number one was Frank Sinatra. I mean, the people she's only behind is Frank Sinatra, the Beatles, and Elvis.
Yeah.
She gave the highest single grossing concert ever of all time. MGM Grand Garden Arena, December 31st, 1999. Tickets prices sold $14,694.
How much?
$14 million in one show.
Man, I wonder what her merch was like.
Well, I don't even know. She once was a switchboard operator. She was voted the 54th greatest movie star of all time by Entertainment Weekly.
Really?
Godmother of Callie Peters.
You knew who was uncredited in this movie as one of the porters, and you called him out as soon as he was on screen.
Who?
Scatman Crothers.
Yeah.
He was in it super, super, super briefly.
Mm-hmm.
But everybody was super excited. And he was also in The Shining,
She was...
One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, and The Aristocats, 3 of Becca's favorite movies.
She was considered for the part of Dwan. Is it Dawn or Dwan in King Kong?
Dawn.
It says W-D-W-A-N. I think they misspelled.
Yeah.
She sang at Bill Clinton's mother's funeral.
That's
Her
nice.
best friends are pretty much Shirley MacLaine and designer Donna Karan. She's had the same assistant for 37 years.
Wow.
A lady named Renata. Her favorite actress herself is Meryl Streep. Yeah, she's the former stepmother of Diane Lane because she was married to Josh Brolin.
David Hurst, the guy who played Rudolph in this movie. You know another movie he was in?
What?
Boys from Brazil. He's Strasser in the
Yeah.
Boys from Brazil.
She was considered for the role of Sandy in Grease.
Who?
Barbara Streisand.
Really?
Yeah. I wouldn't have believed that.
I wouldn't believe that. That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. Did you know she's allergic to horses?
And
she was the only one, when John Wayne won his only Oscar, she presented it to him.
Oh, that's nice. Man.
So.
Yeah, as I mentioned, Michael Crawford, who was very well known as the Phantom in the Phantom of the Opera, is Cornelius Hackle in this movie.
Yeah.
When I was a kid, he is in Condor Man, which is a Disney action-adventure movie. It's like a weird comic booky movie. I saw it at the drive-in.
Yeah.
As a kid. I don't know what I saw it with. I would say maybe Super Fuzz. The movie that has, what's his name from Hogan's Heroes? Bob Crane, where he's a cop who gets... No, that's Super Dad. Super Fuzz is an Italian superhero movie. It's horrible. Also, Michael Crawford played Barnum and Phineas T. in Barnum the movie.
Yeah.
And then they talk about going to see the stuffed whale at Barnum and Bailey's in this. So, it was pretty fun.
You liked it.
I liked it. I guess we're going to have to maybe do another musical episode at some point. I guess I'm going to have to sing one of these songs. Did we talk about going to the CLO on the podcast yet?
I don't think so.
What are you looking for?
The crime watch.
No. We went to the Civic Light Opera a couple weeks ago for Devin, who you may have heard on our podcast before.
He did the apple.
Yeah, he said, I want to go to open mic night. And everybody brought their own books and their own accompaniment, and they sang songs from musicals that I didn't know. And then Devin kept saying, you should go up and sing. You should go up and sing. No, I'm not. It was a more exciting story, I'm sure, than I'm getting across right now. I'm rather tired. You can tell sometimes in the podcast when we record these ones at midnight, we sound tired. If we record ones early, we sound like super into it.
Exactly.
With the Rob Zombie one, we sounded super into it.
Yes. Well, we were also driving.
If anybody would like us, do you have a musical you'd like us to watch? You should get
I
to
have
us.
more.
Yeah, we have more. You should comment on this. Go to YouTube, if you're on YouTube, and comment. Or you can email us at bnsaboutmovies@gmail.com. An email address that has never gotten an email from another human being yet.
Yeah.
All it gets is YouTube one saying, hey, thanks for uploading your YouTube video. So I'd really like to get a real email there someday. Anything else you'd like to plug?
My husband.
All right. Well, thanks for listening to BNS About Movies. This is Sam.
And this is Becca. And we'll see you at the movies.